Sophie Lionnet was a quiet young woman with dreams of a fresh start. She left her small hometown in search of a better life, a simple hope shared by many. But on a quiet street in suburban London, her journey took an unimaginable turn. Behind the closed doors of an ordinary house, the life she dreamed of fell apart in ways no one could have predicted. What started as a job, a place to stay, and the promise of security quickly spiraled into something darker. Promises turned to demands, kindness shifted to control, and the safety Sophie sought disappeared entirely. Her voice, once full of hope, was silenced by fear. What should have been a refuge became a prison, where trust was twisted into a weapon and loyalty became a trap. Her employers, outwardly unremarkable, hid secrets that no one outside their world could have fathomed. Lies piled on top of lies, until even Sophie couldn't tell where reality ended and manipulation began. How could this happen in plain sight? How could a young woman, full of dreams, vanish into a life no one knew she was living? What drove two seemingly ordinary people to commit such unimaginable cruelty? These are the questions that haunted the world as Sophie's story unfolded, and the answers are as chilling as the crime itself. In the end, it wasn't just Sophie who was betrayed, it was every belief in safety, trust, and humanity. This is the story of a life stolen, a crime beyond comprehension, and justice that came too late to save her. This is Sophie Lionet's story. At first glance, Sabrina Kouider and Ouissem Medouni appeared to be an ordinary couple. Sabrina, with her striking looks and glamorous lifestyle, seemed to have it all, her world intertwined with celebrities and high fashion. But beneath the polished image was a much darker truth. Sabrina was charming, confident, and persuasive, yet those close to her knew another side, volatile, controlling, and deeply paranoid. Ouissem Medouni, the quieter one, often faded into the background. His calm demeanor was easy to misinterpret, but his role in their relationship was far from passive. Ouissem enabled Sabrina's worst impulses, standing by as her behavior escalated, never challenging the choices that led them down an irreversible path. His complicity, whether out of fear, loyalty, or indifference, adds a chilling layer to their story. Even in the beginning, it was clear this couple was far from ordinary. Sabrina's need for control was suffocating. She micromanaged every detail of their home, demanding absolute loyalty from those around her. Paranoia clouded her judgment, fueling baseless accusations and erratic decisions. Sophie Lionnet, the quiet nanny who entered their lives, quickly became the target of Sabrina's suspicion. There were moments, unsettling comments, sharp glances, a palpable tension that left friends and acquaintances uneasy. But no one could have predicted the tragic turn their lives would take. Behind the facade of wealth and glamour, cracks began to appear. Sabrina's controlling nature intensified, and Ouissem's passive acceptance allowed it to spiral out of control. The stage was set for a series of events that would shock everyone who thought they knew this couple. Beneath the surface of this seemingly normal family, dark secrets festered, ultimately leading to an unthinkable tragedy. As the days passed, Sophie Lionnet sank deeper into isolation. The vibrant young woman who had come to London with hopes of a fresh start slowly faded into the background. Her voice grew quieter, her spirit dimmer. What was once a job became a prison, and Sophie had nowhere to turn. Sabrina's obsession with her ex-boyfriend cast a dark shadow over the household, following Sophie's every move. Sabrina's jealousy and insecurity consumed her, and she fixated on the belief that Sophie was involved with this man, despite no evidence. Paranoia took hold, leading to vicious, unfounded accusations that Sophie had to endure in silence. But the emotional abuse wasn't enough. It quickly turned physical. Overworked and mentally exhausted, Sophie became the target of violent outbursts, cruel treatment, and constant humiliation. Each day felt like a battle to survive. The abuse escalated, and so did Sophie's sense of helplessness. She was trapped, her cries for help unheard. Communication with the outside world grew sparse. Family members, once in regular contact, noticed the growing distance, but the few messages Sophie sent were cryptic, desperate. Behind closed doors, the household became a powder keg, volatile, unstable, and growing more dangerous. No one knew the true extent of Sophie's torment or how close she was to the edge. Then came the night of September 18th, 2017, a night that would leave investigators horrified. On the evening of September 18, 2017, the unimaginable occurred. Neighbors, already uneasy about the strange tension surrounding the house, began to notice something unsettling. A strong, acrid odor filled the air, out of place in the quiet suburban neighborhood. It was foul, unnatural, a smell they couldn't ignore. Soon, a concerned neighbor made the call that would expose the horror hidden behind those walls. The police arrived, and what they found inside was chilling. Sophie's remains, barely recognizable, were discovered in the backyard, burned beyond belief. What had once been thought to be a harmless bonfire was revealed as the site where evidence of a crime so horrific was destroyed. As the investigation unfolded, Sabrina and Ouissem were arrested. The carefully constructed façade they had maintained for years began to crumble, revealing the monstrous truth. Their story of Sophie's sudden disappearance, which they had clung to for weeks, now appeared to be a desperate attempt to cover their tracks. The news spread quickly. Headlines flashed across screens, detailing the gruesome discovery and the arrests that followed. Court sketches and police footage painted a haunting picture of the aftermath. Yet, even as the world watched, the most horrifying details of the crime remained hidden. What had Sophie endured in the days leading up to her death? What unspeakable acts had she suffered in her final hours? The true horror didn't just lie in the discovery of her remains, it was in the chilling revelation of what happened to Sophie before that fateful night. The investigation into Sophie Lionet's death was a painstaking, chilling process that revealed not only the brutality of the crime, but the dark secrets Sabrina and Ouissem had desperately tried to hide. As detectives reconstructed the timeline leading to Sophie's tragic end, they uncovered a disturbing pattern of emotional manipulation and physical abuse that had been carefully concealed. At the center of it all was Sabrina's escalating paranoia. She accused Sophie of conspiring with her ex-boyfriend to ruin her life, an obsession that consumed her. This delusion blinded Sabrina to the truth, driving her increasingly erratic behavior. Sophie, already trapped in a world of torment, was now painted as the villain, an enemy who had to be eliminated. The evidence of Sophie's suffering was uncovered in the most heartbreaking ways. Her diaries, once a private sanctuary, revealed the depth of her isolation and fear. In her final entries, she spoke of feeling lost and alone, her hope fading as the days wore on. These writings stood in stark contrast to the vibrant young woman who had come to London with dreams of a new life. Teched footage from the house painted a grim picture of Sophie's final days. The footage showing her moving through the house under constant surveillance revealed her exhaustion, fear, and resignation. She was a woman living in constant dread, knowing any wrong move could provoke a violent outburst. In these quiet moments captured on tape, the true horror of her situation became undeniable. As the investigation unfolded, emotional interviews with Sophie's family and friends shed light on the woman she had been before falling into Sabrina and Ouissem's world. They spoke of a kind-hearted, gentle soul full of promise and dreams. They never imagined the nightmare she would endure. Their grief was palpable, made all the more agonizing by the realization that they had been unable to help her in her darkest hour. Court documents and investigator testimony revealed the extent of the couple's manipulation. Sabrina's bizarre accusations against Sophie were now understood as part of a twisted narrative she had constructed to justify her actions. The lies Sabrina told and the control she exerted over Sophie became the foundation for the crime that would shatter so many lives. As the trial began, the world watched in horror as the couple's chilling motives were exposed. The details of their toxic relationship, their manipulation of Sophie, and the unimaginable suffering she endured came to light. The truth of what had happened in that house, and why Sophie had been forced to suffer, would be revealed in the most shocking way imaginable. As the trial unfolded, the courtroom became a stage for the collapse of Sabrina and Ouissem's defense. The evidence against them was irrefutable: Sophie's diaries, the chilling sect footage, and the testimonies from those who had witnessed the couple's cruelty and manipulation. Sabrina's delusions were exposed for what they were, and Ouissem's role in enabling the abuse became undeniable. Their web of lies unraveled under the weight of the facts, each excuse they had made now revealed as a desperate attempt to conceal the monstrous crime they had committed. As the prosecution presented its case, the true horror of Sophie's suffering came into sharp focus. The defense, which had tried to portray Sabrina and Ouissem as misunderstood, faltered. There was no denying the reality of their actions. The jury, confronted with the heartbreaking evidence, delivered a unanimous verdict. Sabrina and Ouissem were both convicted of murder. The courtroom fell silent as the judge handed down their sentences: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. For Sophie's family, there was a sense of justice, but it was bittersweet. Nothing could bring back their beloved daughter, sister, and friend. Sophie's mother, in an emotional statement, spoke of her daughter's vibrant spirit and how cruelly it had been taken from her. The grief in her voice was impossible to ignore, and the pain of losing Sophie, so senselessly and violently, hung heavy in the air. Outside the courthouse, reporters captured the moment when justice was finally served. Courtroom sketches showed Sabrina and Ouissem, their faces expressionless as the sentence was read. For many, this case became a stark reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind closed doors, the insidious abuse that can go unnoticed, even by those closest to the victim. But Sophie's story is more than just a tragedy. It's a call to action. It's a reminder to recognize the signs of abuse, to listen when someone is in pain, and to ensure that no one else suffers in silence the way Sophie did. Sophie Lionnet's story is one of innocence lost, trust shattered, and the courage of those who fought for justice. It's a reminder of life's fragility and how the most dangerous situations are often the ones we fail to recognize. Sophie's family and loved ones have carried this heartbreaking burden, but through their perseverance, her story is now known. Her story urges us to protect the vulnerable, to listen for the silent cries that often go unheard. What happened to Sophie is a wake-up call, a stark reminder that behind everyday facades, there can be darkness lurking, dangerous and real. But what could have been done to prevent this tragedy? Could someone have stepped in sooner? Could her suffering have been stopped before it reached this point? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps us shine a light on stories like Sophie's, reminding us all of the importance of speaking out and taking action.